Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Talk is Cheap podcast. Whether you're tuning in through Stitcher Radio, iTunes, or Google Play, I'm your host, Justin Hayes, and with me, as always, my good pal, Skylar Mad Dog Krowetsky. How you doing, Skylar?
I ain't doing too bad, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm hanging in here. So I'm well aware that the NFL season kicked off, and I believe your team was involved. How did the Eagles play?
Yeah, man, I'm a little disappointed in how the Eagles played, man. Nick Foles did not look like the Super Bowl MVP at all.
No. Well, I didn't get a chance to watch it myself, but so how did the game go?
We couldn't move the ball at all, man. The final score was 18-12. We could not move the ball at all. Basically, it was half a game. The offenses never showed up either for the Atlanta.
Yeah, so Atlanta didn't look the same.
No, they couldn't. They still couldn't score in the red zone. Actually, they looked identical.
Yeah. So the Eagles. Let's talk some NFC East. So
Best
we're at the
division in football.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It's always the most competitive. It seems no matter whether the teams are good or bad, it's always a show to watch.
In the last 20 years, only 2 division repeat champions.
That's incredible. It's incredible. And you know what? What's your projection on that? You think that you got a repeat champion in the making?
Well, that's funny that you say that, man, because I think the Eagles are going to win this division.
You said 2 in the last 20?
2 in the last 20.
I mean, those are...
Eagles were the last team to do it.
Wow. Okay. Let's project this thing out. How do you see the division going?
Well, my division breakdown is I think that the Eagles are going to win.
Yeah.
I think Giants are going to be a close second. I just think they improved so much.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Sorry, man. Sorry to throw your Cowboys under the bus there like that, but I think the Cowboys will be third, and I think Washington, as always, will finish last.
Wow. Yeah, that seems to be the Washington place. You see I'm no expert, but I definitely see the Cowboys making progress this year. With a healthy Zeke this year, I definitely believe our running game is going to be more stable. It's going to help Dak cool down.
That's
in that
exactly
pocket.
what I was just going to ask. You think it's going to help Dak a lot?
I definitely do, and I am a firm believer that Dak was at his best when Dez was off the field. I mean, that 2014 season, his rookie year, Dez was facing that foot injury. He had foot surgery or whatever.
Yeah, I remember.
And Dak really did a good job at spreading the ball. I feel like ever since he's came back, minus that Packers game in the playoffs, he was really good at distributing the ball until Dez came back.
Yeah, I think when you don't have to force feed the ball to your star receiver, that really helps, man.
Yeah, I've got the Cowboys ranked first. I see them having the same record as the Eagles. The Eagles and the Cowboys will both be probably 10-6, but I give the edge to the Cowboys just based on I think we handled the rivalry game better, and I also don't see the Eagles repeating the division.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, it's tough to repeat.
It's always a tough division.
Everyone's going to give you your best. That's the problem.
I've got the Giants at third. You've got them at second, which I think is blasphemous.
So what do you think? So why do you have them so low at 3?
Well, I've got them probably an 8-8 record.
You don't think they added enough?
They're going to win some and lose some, you know. But I definitely feel like Saquon Barkley's a great addition. I believe, and they drafted around him some offensive line characters. I know that. However, Eli Manning, I think it might just be the Cowboys fan in me, but no matter what, I see Eli Manning as just coming down the hill, just declining.
He is going downhill, but, he hasn't had much offensive line help around him or much help in general. I mean, OBJ's been hurt, the last 2 seasons? He hasn't played a full healthy season since his rookie year.
Yeah, you see it, and that's kind of what I'm afraid of as a Cowboys fan. But, as a sports fan, it's going to lead to a lot of interesting battles. I've got the Redskins ranked as something like a 6-10 or a
I got him at 7-9. Yeah, I got him at 7-9. Yeah. I love that addition of Alex Smith, though.
Yeah, who all did they throw onto their roster this year?
They got Alex Smith from they traded with Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
They got Paul Richardson, and they got this pass rusher, Pernell McPhee.
Who'd they get in the draft this year?
I love their draft this year, to be honest with you. I love Deron Payne, man. I think he's a good pass rusher at the nose tackle spot. But the only problem is they drafted Geis, and that's exactly what they needed, a power runner, and he just tore his ACL.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's a solid draft. I was a big fan on Deron Payne. I'm more of a fan of Vita Vea, but I think Deron Payne is kind of just one of those guys. He's gonna fit this,
Yeah, he's gonna fit wherever he goes. You're gonna find a spot for him.
Yeah.
Vita Vea was that physical freak of nature.
Yeah, and I think it's a higher risk and a higher reward in Vita Vea, but Deron Payne, safe pick. I like it. So moving on, what division do we got next?
I would say the NFC North, man. I think Aaron Rodgers' division is rightfully next.
So Aaron Rodgers' division, huh? You don't think Kirk Cousins has anything to say about that?
No, man. Kirk Cousins has nothing to say about it. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the game, and I don't even think it's close.
Really? Well, let's see. How do you have them stacking? Because I'm pretty sure Minnesota's got a good team this year.
I think Minnesota does have a good team. I think they are the most complete team in that division. But it's Aaron Rodgers, man. You can't stop him.
Yeah, I've seen him. Kill the
you
Cowboys
as a Cowboys fan, you should know he takes over games. He's unstoppable.
Yeah, he definitely can. So I don't know. And personally, in my ranking, I've got Aaron Rodgers and the Packers number 1, and following him, I've got the Minnesota Vikings,
which I think is a fair assessment. The Minnesota Vikings added Sheldon Richardson. They solidified that defensive line. I think they rival Philadelphia's. I like that Kirk Cousins addition as well. I mean, you can only improve adding a better quarterback.
Definitely a better quarterback than last year. And
Case Keenum.
And you're getting a running back back?
Yeah, I mean, you're getting a running back from a torn ACL. So
yeah. What do you think? You think he has a solid season?
I think he does. I think he shows why he should have been a number 1 pick and why he fell.
Okay. Yeah. What about who falls next in yours?
I got the Bears over the Lions, man.
Really?
That Khalil Mack addition, I think Khalil's going to wreak havoc. I don't think the Packers' offensive line's good, and neither is the Vikings. I think the Bears and the Lions have the best offensive line, and Khalil Mack doesn't face the Bears' offensive line.
See, I do have the Lions third, and then I've got Chicago in last.
Matt Stafford is better than Mitch Trubisky. I mean,
you agree with that? I don't really see the potential in Mitch Trubisky. He's got some pieces being put around him.
What I like the most is that he's getting offensive pieces. I really love the addition of Trey Burton. That's my Eagles bias showing. But Allen Robinson, if he wouldn't have got hurt for the season, he might be getting a contract like OBJ or Julio Jones.
Yeah, I really like their draft, too. Personally, I think Chicago had a really nice draft.
Anthony Miller.
Yeah, I loved them. I really wanted the Cowboys to actually draft him. But I'll settle for Michael Gallup. But Roquan Smith, who's the guy they took second round?
James Daniels. He can play center or guard.
Nice.
Which they got a good center. They need a left guard. Cody Whitehair is a good center.
They're building something there. I agree. But what sets them apart from the Lions? The Lions have the better quarterback, Matt Stafford, and they just recently signed, Matt Patricia from the Super Bowl winning Patriots. I mean, how many Super Bowls was he there for with?
Quite a few. I couldn't tell you the number. I mean, they won so many.
So they improved coach vastly, and then,
I'm not a big fan of Jim Caldwell.
You said yourself. I mean, what is Matt Stafford the second best quarterback in this division?
I think he is. After playing against Kirk Cousins for a long time, I think Matt Stafford is a better quarterback. I mean, he's got the strongest arm.
Why fourth in the division?
I don't like their roster, man. If I had to be honest with you, I don't think they have enough ammunition to compete. That signing of Khalil Mack was the real deal for the Bears. I like the additions of the Packers with Jimmy Graham, and I love the additions of the Minnesota Vikings with Kirk Cousins and Sheldon Richardson.
So you just don't think they brought enough to the table this year and improved over last year?
They lost too much. I think they lost more than they gained. They replaced Eric Ebron with a couple of tight ends I've never even heard of. They replaced Haloti Ngata with Sylvester Williams.
All right. Well, I'm convinced in that matter, but I still believe quarterback can win you games, and I'm keeping
It is a
them-
quarterback-driven league.
Yeah, most certainly, and I definitely, he's the second best quarterback in that league. Maybe debatable with Kirk Cousins, but we'll have to see.
Well, how do you like Kerryon Johnson, that running back? That was really their problem, is they can't run the ball. How do you like that addition?
Yeah, well, I mean, how many times have they drafted a running back and Amir Abdullah,
It's a series, Theo Riddick, Amir Abdullah. They're
it's a curse for a running back to go there. I mean, have they had a good running
once
back
they
since
ruined
Barry?
Once they ruined Barry, that's all that there was, man.
Yeah. Well, let's take a road trip down south, Skyler. Who you got winning the NFC South?
I got the Saints winning the NFC South, man. Who do you got winning the NFC South?
I agree with that right now. Saints, they got a tough team to beat. They were good last year, and
I think they only added. I don't think they lost too much, man.
Yeah. Now? Here's a question I have for you. Do you see Kamara progressing, or maybe having a sophomore slump?
I think he has to regress. There's no way he can get that many yards per touch, 7.7 to be exact. He has to. He's going to get maybe 5.5, maybe 6 at best. There's no way he can.
Yeah. So Ingram, he's got what? He's facing a suspension?
Yeah, I think it's 4 games. I think it's 4 games
suspension. So do you think that'll help or hurt him? Let's say for fantasy people, are they happy for that, or is that
if I draft Kamara, I'm happy. I ain't drafting Kamara in the first round, but I'd be happy about taking him.
So you're adamant on maybe some sort of sophomore slump this year?
Yeah, I think he's got to regress, and I think that hurts New Orleans.
But they're good enough to be first?
I think they're good enough to be first after watching what Atlanta did.
No, I agree. I'm a little bit more optimistic about Alvin Kamara, but I do see that potential that it could happen. I mean, he posted crazy numbers, but why don't either of us have the Falcons as number one? What's going on there?
Well, I watched that game on Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
They're still struggling in the red zone, man. I don't know if it's just the Eagles or what's going on, but they're still struggling in the red zone. Julio Jones cannot catch a pass. He has to catch them facing the quarterback. I watched him the other day. He bobbled a pass where he had to look over his shoulder. He's got a body catch him now. I don't know what's going on with Julio.
So I've got the Falcons as a close second. How's the rest of yours shake out?
I got the Panthers rolling in second.
Really?
Yeah, I got the Panthers. I'm real high on the Panthers this year.
You think Cam Newton's putting the team on his back
I think he's going to put the team on his back this year.
So you see them outperforming the Falcons. Matt Ryan not good enough?
I think Matty Ice is slipping, man. I don't think we can call him Matty Ice anymore.
Really? Well, okay, what about, you said some things with Julio Jones, that
I like that Calvin Ridley guy, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring it to. Do you think Calvin Ridley helps Julio?
I think Calvin Ridley helps dictate coverage on Julio, but not yet. I didn't see the Eagles dictate it yet. I don't think he's earned it yet. So I think they're going to make Calvin Ridley beat him. And every team in this division, I think, is looking at Calvin Ridley.
So what about Buccaneers? I believe we both have them 4.
I mean, come on, man. No Jameis Winston for a couple games. What, Ryan Fitzpatrick going to carry this team?
Yeah. Well, it's and
sorry to all the Buccaneers fans out there, but I don't know what you guys are doing down there.
Yeah, Jameis Winston, that's an interesting name. We've got some young quarterbacks in the league, in the division, I meant to say, but how do you think he's going to progress, and maybe some of the other quarterbacks in this?
I like that New Orleans Saints pickup, to be honest with you. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a better quarterback than Jameis Winston.
Okay, so he's gonna take the reins when Breeze is finished?
I think so. I think Brees only got about 3 more years in him, if that. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to take over, and I think they're leaving the Saints in a good spot for Teddy Bridgewater to take over.
So Bridgewater, let me get this right. He's a scrambling type, right?
He's a scrambling type. He's more mobile, I wouldn't say. Okay. I would say he's more like Carson Wentz.
Okay. All right, but he's got that torn ACL, right?
Yep, just like Carson Wentz.
So we'll just have to kind of see how that shakes out. But you don't think that will affect maybe his potential?
I think that it hurts it. It was a horrific knee injury. He thought about retiring. But, I mean, Jameis Winston has got all these off-the-field issues. Is that really what you want from your franchise quarterback?
And Cam, you know how old Cam Newton is now?
What is he going? He's almost 30 now, isn't he?
He's been in the league for quite some time. It's kind of slipped up on us. He's had a few bad years, a few good years.
Personally, if we're going by this whole division and we're going by the quarterbacks plus win now, I'm taking New Orleans every time. I think they set themselves up. That's why they traded for Teddy Bridgewater. They know that Cam Newton's going to be on the decline. He's a scrambling quarterback. They know Jameis Winston can't stay on the field because he's doing all this stuff on the off the field. Matty Ice, he fell off a cliff, man. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah. Well, he went from one of the top quarterbacks. I mean,
he's got all the weapons. He has no excuse.
Yeah. Well, all right. One more division left in the NFC, so we're heading west, young man. And where I've got the Rams taken first, followed by San Francisco, then the Cardinals, and Seahawks in last.
The Seahawks in last, huh?
Yeah. How do you feel about them this year?
Man, I'm higher than most on them. I think they're going to be better than the Cardinals, though, man.
Really? I mean, I just see them as a team that's in total. They're heading to rebuild mode.
I think they're heading into rebuild mode, but they're right in that middle where they're still going to fight for their coach. I like Pete Carroll. He gets his boys ready to play, man.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of coach, you got Arizona Cardinals losing their head coach. So.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was a good coach. It was surprising that he retired, but they weren't competing to expectations. That's why I'm low on Arizona, is they don't compete to expectations.
They do have a lot of moving pieces there, but I think
lost the Honey Badger.
That's a big one.
He don't care.
That's true, but it seems like they're going to do quarterback by committee. They've got Sam Bradford, Mike Glennon, and I do appreciate Josh Rosen. He was
chosen Rosen, man.
Yeah, he was like my third-ranked quarterback, but he's very accurate. So I feel like
I think this is the deepest quarterback class we've seen in a while too. So saying he's the third, best is not like a knock.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would definitely say Allen's like way behind all
I would
them.
take Mason Rudolph over Josh Allen.
The same here. I mean, you're just looking at,
But you know who I'd take over everyone in this division? Jimmy G.
Jimmy G?
I love me some Jimmy G, man.
So I've got San Francisco second. Where you got them sitting?
I got them at second as well, man.
Okay.
I think their roster is really good this year. I love Reuben Foster on the defensive side of the ball.
The only place we disagree is at 3 and 4 with Arizona.
Yeah, we're splitting hairs here because I think Arizona's rebuilding too, but I hear what you're saying, man.
Yeah.
David Johnson's the real deal. To me, he's the best running back in the NFL.
Gotcha. I wouldn't say that. I'm a bit of a Zeke fan, but Jimmy G, I like that topic. You got Jimmy G and Jared Goff.
Going head-to-head, this is going to be a rivalry for a long time. San Fran, L.A. I like it. I like what it's setting up.
I think it could set up something nice. Now, is there a chance, San Francisco pulls out the division?
Not a chance, man. The Rams are too stacked.
Yeah? See, I like to think that the Rams are probably one of the best teams in football.
They got one of the best rosters in football. I think it's Philadelphia is up there, Minnesota, L.A., hell, I mean, even New Orleans.
Yeah. Well,
basically the whole NFC.
It really just seems like they just keep adding pieces. Like they've just got this endless pool that they're building up, full of talented roster guys, and
having Todd Gurley helps.
Yeah. I mean, having one of the best running backs in the league always seems to help.
Third best.
I really can't argue with that one. I mean, I think that's
out of the whole top four, though. You're really splitting hairs.
Too. Yeah. You've got a lot of talented running backs.
David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Todd
Gurley. That's the ones you got to have in that conversation. Kamara may come right after them. We'll have to see how this year goes.
Seattle should sign Le'Veon Bell.
Seattle?
I think Seattle should sign Le'Veon Bell. I think they call him up.
Off right now.
Well, this is something I was just thinking about. The Steelers need a free safety. What do the Seahawks have, man? Seahawks got Earl Thomas. I could see an Earl Thomas for Le'Veon Bell swap.
Really? Well, how's that work if Le'Veon still kind of got that contract?
Seattle's got the money though. They have the money, but
they would have to.
They'd have to trade. Yeah, they'd have to find a way to re-sign him. But they need a running back. Get back to running the football. I think Seattle has a chance.
Right. And You're talking West Coast. I think that'd be a cool destination.
Yeah, I would. I would like to live out in Seattle, man.
So what we're really looking at, though, for the longevity of, the NFC West, it really could be this Jimmy G versus Jared Goff. Which one of those two quarterbacks would you rather have leading your team?
Jimmy G. When you learn behind the GOAT, man, you can't go wrong.
Now, what if you swap those quarterbacks?
I think if you swap those quarterbacks, I think Jimmy G puts up Aaron Rodgers' numbers.
Really?
I do. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not the biggest Jimmy G fan. I mean, Garoppolo, he was a backup quarterback for Tom Brady. He stepped in, played some good games. You might have a better knowledge of what he was in college and prior.
He's just a small school guy, man. Kind of like, Joe Flacco, Carson Wentz, Tony Romo. They're all small school guys.
Yeah.
He just
and he looks like a quarterback. He passes that eye test.
He does pass the eye test.
Jared Goff, I mean, he's looking good though.
He has every weapon you could ask for.
Yeah, like we said,
I would hate to have Brandon Cooks and Todd Gurley as my 1 and 2 options. I'd hate to have that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're definitely.
Let's not forget
there.
Aaron Donald though, and Ndamukong Suh on the defensive side of the ball.
Their defensive lineup is
only
nasty.
thing that scares me, man, and I hate bringing up the Eagles, but I do remember in 2008 when everyone was calling us the dream team for signing all those free agents, those old free agents.
Yeah, Aqib Talib's on this list too.
All I know is that the Rams be signing all these old players.
Sammy Watkins, is that going to hurt them? Losing Sammy?
No, Sammy Watkins didn't really do much. They replaced Sammy Watkins with Brandon Cooks, who I think is a better receiver, and he can stay on the field.
Yeah, and Tavon Austin
went
to the Cowboys, and quite frankly, I'm not even that excited about it. So, I agree with.
How do you like that Richard Sherman addition though for the 49ers? You think he makes a difference there instead of in Seattle?
Well, I think San Francisco's setting up to become a team. I mean, I don't see Richard Sherman's a competitor. So if he's playing on a team that's, in my opinion, last in the division, I really don't see. I think he's going to put out Richard Sherman-like numbers. I mean, I honestly think being in a competitor like San Francisco where they're fighting for the playoffs, he could become the Richard Sherman of old.
I kind of agree, but I think that Achilles injury really derailed him, and he was a late bloomer there, and now he's 29 going on 30. I think he did lose a step.
You've seen elite cornerbacks last, though. I mean,
they do. Darrelle Revis.
Terrence Newman just finally retired.
And I'm surprised he did because he did fine last season.
Exactly. I think he turned 40. And he was still doing relevant things. So, I mean, to me, it's not very far-fetched to go into his 30s.
Well, I think they're going to need him. So,
yeah.
Either way.
It's gonna be, kind of his make-or-break season, but I think he's doing it for the right team rather than doing it for Seattle.
Yeah, he's playing for something. If let's just say this defense is good, and it's going to be a shootout between Jimmy G and Jared Goff, and I guess whoever wins that, is going to come out and possibly win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. And for wild card talk, I mean, we're talking, first places. We got those. Who's going to slip into the wild card spots? We get 2 of them. Could San Francisco be one of them?
If San Francisco don't win this division, as we both believe they won't, if they don't, they're definitely guaranteed a wild card spot. And I think I would hate to have to play them in the wild card.
And who's the other wild card?
What are we going to say? Minnesota or Green Bay? Because one of them's going.
Yeah, well, one of them's going for sure with the division. So it'd have to be Minnesota or maybe second place NFC East.
Minnesota or New York. I'd take my money.
Or in my opinion.
Or Dallas, yeah. I mean, just because Dallas was 3 doesn't mean, they can't sneak in there either. So.
Well, you see, I have got Dallas 1. I'm talking Philadelphia getting in a wild card.
I don't think we'll be a wild card spot. I think we're going to earn our division.
We'll just have to see. That wraps up our NFC. So here next we're gonna take on the AFC.
As we're taking on the AFC, let's start with the AFC East, or you could call it the easiest division in football.
Right.
Yeah. So who do you think's winning this division?
Patriots for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I could really argue with that. I mean, maybe the Buffalo Bills.
Right. Okay.
Well,
So-
who you got coming in on second, man? I don't really think we got to really address the Patriots. You know, Tom Brady's there, Bill Belichick's there. That's really all you need to know.
You're right. I've actually got the Jets sneaking in second.
You got the Jets, man? I got them at 3. I like what the Dolphins did, so I moved them up. But let's hear about the Jets, man. What they got going on?
I'm a big fan of Sam Darnold. He was actually my number 1 ranked quarterback after looking at all of them.
Out of USC, going to go with the number 1 ranked quarterback?
Yep. I'm thinking, he had some really nice touch in college, and I
He
just
did
have
have
a
pretty
feeling,
good touch, man. His games look good.
I'm feeling like he can create a big impact. I mean, it's only the AFC East.
Well,
I mean, they're not going to get first, but second place ain't hard to come by.
Yeah, you're just
you're
the
not
first
talking
loser.
wild team. Or
Yeah.
a wild card team.
Yeah, we're not talking wild card. No, none of these teams in this division, but the Patriots, are making the playoffs.
Right. So I'm going with the Jets. They could use some help on the receiving end, but what brings you to the Dolphins?
Man, they got Ryan Tannehill back. I don't think Ryan Tannehill's good, but I think he's good enough to win some football games. I think he's the second best quarterback in this division. I also like their additions of Minkah Fitzpatrick and Mike Gesicki.
Yeah.
I love Gesicki.
Yeah, you did have him in your top.
Yeah, he was my top tight end from Penn State.
I really like Minkah Fitzpatrick too.
He can cover, he can hit, he can do whatever you need.
He's one of those guys you don't know what position to put him in, but
You're
honestly,
happy with anything you decide.
Yeah, I truly believe though he's gonna fit in nicely. Safety is if that's what they're doing with him.
I think I'd put him at safety, have him free range out there, or play slot corner, lock up one of the slot guys, because that's a really hard position in football to play.
But I mean, when you're talking complete overhaul, you're throwing Sam Darnold out there. Yeah, that's a big difference. That's gonna have an effect on their the record in New
Well, he's
York.
got Josh McCown to learn behind, so he's gonna start over him. But Josh McCown's a good pro.
Yeah, he's been around.
Teach him the ropes. I mean, I don't think Sam Darnold could be in a worse spot. I mean, it could be like Josh Allen out there in Buffalo.
I really wish they would have got him some wide receiver help. Was it
Terrell Pryor
and Robbie Anderson or something like that?
That's who they got right now.
Yeah, it could badly use some
Don't
help.
forget, though, they did add Tremaine Johnson at cornerback, maybe to solidify that secondary a little bit. They do have Josh Adams back there.
Well, so, I mean, we took on the easiest division in football. What's next here?
Well, I mean, before we move on, let's talk about Josh Allen for a second. You watch him in preseason at all?
I did not get a look at it. I'm not too high on the guy.
Well, the Buffalo Bills must be high because they put him at second. They're going to play Nathan Peterman over him. He's going to throw about 5 interceptions, and then they'll put him out there. But they traded A.J. McCarron, so they must be high on him.
Yeah.
They did also get Star Lotulelei at nose tackle. So
yeah,
I mean, Buffalo Bills kind of know what they're doing, but they really reached on that quarterback.
Yeah.
They should have just paid Tyrod the money.
I'm a big fan of their second pick, too, in that first round. Tremaine Edmonds.
He's a freak, man.
Yeah,
I can't believe he fell.
He's a physical monster. I was hoping he was going to last down to the Cowboys. I was really hoping. He's a big type. He's a monster.
What is he, like 6'5", run like a 4.4 or 4.5?
He's about 280 or something like that. He's an animal.
He's awesome. Well, we can go ahead and move on to the AFC North if you'd like.
All right, taking it to the AFC North, where I have Pittsburgh taking number 1.
I also have Pittsburgh taking 1, man, but who do you got going number 2?
Who do you got going number 2?
I got Cleveland going number 2,
really?
Man.
Yeah, I'm same boat right now.
I'm pretty hyped, but let's go back to the Steelers real quick. Let's go back. They kind of run this division if we're being honest. So
yeah, they've got too many offensive weapons to ignore.
But what's going on with that Le'Veon Bell situation?
You mentioned maybe a trade. I could see some things happening.
He ain't reported yet.
He didn't show up for any training camp.
The games are in 2 days, Justin.
Good luck.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be in football playing shape even when he comes back, if he even comes back.
Right.
And that offensive line's already upset with him. I think really James Conner's got to show out for them. They still have AB, and Juju's going to be Juju, so they have weapons. But
they have weapons. They've got a nice offense. But here's the question: how many more seasons can Big Ben go?
2. If that.
Yeah. If he makes it the whole year, they're number one. They do have Mason Rudolph.
I love Mason Rudolph. They're set up for the future nicely. How do they keep doing this?
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's a situation like Big Ben and what was it, Tommy Maddox. I mean,
I don't think in this decade they haven't been lower than 8-8.
Mm-hmm. It's I mean, ever since, Roethlisberger took over, they won a Super Bowl. Now, remember that Super Bowl is the one that everybody says was rigged, but
it was rigged.
They kept going with their offensive dominance. Their defense used to be something.
Yeah, now they kind of switched. They left defense, went to offense.
Yeah. So, but if Le'Veon's not there, what can we expect? I mean, they've got, like you said, the offensive weapons with the receiving core.
Well, I think their defense has improved this year, if I'm going to be honest with you. I love that Terrell Edmonds pick, the brother of the guy we just talked about from Buffalo. Yeah. And then they signed Morgan Burnett from the Packers, man. He's a good safety.
Yeah, that's a new safety core there.
But they also added another weapon on the offensive side of the ball. They got James Washington, Mason Rudolph,
solid receiver.
Yep, another solid receiver.
How do they always end up with a full depth chart full of solid receivers?
Yeah, like receivers that they would play on any other team, but they don't play here because there's like 5 of them.
Yeah, exactly. You've got Juju, you've got, of course, Antonio Brown.
Whoever their scout is, I'm hiring him to be my head scout.
Right, but James Washington, I really like the guy. He looked like young Steve Smith.
He looks like a running back too with the ball in his hand. He knows how to run with the ball.
Who's their kick returner? Is AB still taking back punts?
I don't think AB take back punts, but I couldn't tell you, to be honest. I don't like the Steelers. So.
I think it'd be cool to see that guy.
So moving on to Cleveland, man.
Yeah.
This is what everyone wants to hear about. Let's talk about Cleveland, man.
So
they had the best offseason, I think, of all teams.
Yeah, they. I mean, you can't.
When you add a starting quarterback in the offseason.
Yeah,
and who's still only 29 years old.
And you draft potentially the best quarterback in the draft.
Baker playmaker.
And, you're really looking Jarvis Landry. I mean, Carlos Hyde.
Denzel Ward from the Ohio State University.
Correct, the Ohio State University. But it's like they can't get worse, so we both know that.
No, they can't get worse. You can't go 0-16 twice.
Right.
It's not possible.
Yeah. And the season before that. So they're definitely the most improved, but here's the real question. Can they be playoff bound?
That is a hard question, man.
There's not that many teams in the AFC.
There's not, but I think in the next 2 divisions that we're going to cover, I think there's potentially 3 to 2 teams in each of those divisions that are going to make the playoffs. Yeah. I think the Browns hurt themselves.
Shake out.
Yeah,
it's gonna. Well, what do you see their record being? What do you project in them?
The best they can be is 8-8.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they're the best they can be, but I think they're probably going to be 7-9. I think Tyrod will win them 7 games.
I'm kind of on the little bit of the other side of that. I'm thinking 8-8's a solid prediction. But I think maybe more. Maybe 9-7.
Maybe 9-7.
It's incredible to think Cleveland with a winning season. I don't think they've done that since.
Well, we've seen it. If a team gets hot, they get hot, man.
Right.
If you're thinking 9-7, they might, let's say they go 9-7. Let's say they got 9 wins by December, right? You don't think they can win one more?
Oh, they're gonna have that momentum. It's Believe Land up there.
Yeah, it's Believe Land, man. The fans are wild.
Yeah,
honestly, some of the best fans in the nation.
Most dedicated. I don't know how you.
I think it's got to be tough to play there if they're relevant. I think I honestly do. I think it might be like 12th man.
Yeah. Well, it's also what they call the mistake on the lake, Skyler.
Oh, that hurts a little bit, man.
It does.
That does.
Well, so 1-2, we both have the same. What's your 3-4?
All right. You go first.
All right. I've got Baltimore 3.
I got Baltimore 3.
All right. And that leaves Bengals last.
Bungles.
The Bungles. Now, Cleveland not in last of the AFC North. That sounds refreshing.
Well, they would go to first, but they got to play Pittsburgh.
Yeah. That's That's a rough one. I mean, they never seem to get calls their way either.
No, they don't.
But
Flash Gordon though.
So, right. I can't wait to see him this year.
I know. I'm so excited. 1,200 yards.
Ooh, that's a bold prediction.
1,200
bold
yards.
prediction. I'll jot that down right now. But so what do you think about the Bengals?
Oh, the Bengals, man.
Are they doing anything good?
They added an offensive tackle, which they needed since they let Andrew Whitworth walk. Bad move.
They drafted Billy Price too, right?
Yeah,
From
the
the
center.
Ohio State University.
From the Ohio State
Okay.
University. Yeah, they got Billy Price. They got that. They stole Jesse Bates. He's like a second-round safety they got, I think, in the 4th round.
Oh, yeah?
He's pretty good. They need a little safety help because they lost George Iloka.
Mm-hmm.
They also got that Malik Jefferson guy we were talking about from Texas. He's a little raw, but they could groom him.
So they got rid of A.J. McCarron. Or did they gain A.J. McCarron?
They lost A.J. McCarron.
Yeah.
They lost him. He played for him, then went to Buffalo, and then Buffalo traded him to the Raiders.
Gotcha. Then you got Baltimore Ravens, which is there a chance?
Joe Flacco's not elite.
Is there a chance that Joe Flacco gets benched this season?
I don't think there's a chance because I think their best chance to win is with Joe Flacco.
Okay. So basically you want Lamar Jackson sitting.
He needs to learn how to be a pro first.
Gotcha.
He needs to learn not to run or he's going to RG3 himself, which is
Oh,
perfect because he plays with RG3. They're teammates. RG3 can tell him all about it.
And Mike Shanahan putting him out. I saw him putting him out as a wide out one play and throwing it to him, getting lit up.
Well, that was good for us, as you know.
The Redskins were pretty scary with RG3 for a minute.
Imagine what RG3 could have been, and I'm just
Right.
glad he's on the Ravens
Well,
now.
hey, just think maybe sometime next year we'll be saying imagine what
Lamar Jackson could have been if.
or will be. Maybe they use him right.
But
But
what do you think about that sorry ass receiver like Crabtree?
I think he's pretty sorry, but I want to shift things over to Baltimore. I mean back to Baltimore, but the other quarterbacks. What I meant to say. Last time you had Joe Flacco on a contract year, he did something special. You know what he did, Skyler?
What did he do?
He won a Super Bowl.
Those are hard to come by, man. I'll tell you all about
Especially in Baltimore, right? So, I mean, what if there's a chance?
But you know what? Also, he had that contract year.
What?
Ray Lewis.
Good point. I think that ends it for the AFC North. Cleveland going to the playoffs. I'm calling it.
Cleveland going to the playoffs. Well, before we move on, let me talk about one more player that I really
What do
wanted
you
to
got?
talk about. Joe Mixon for the Bengals.
Ooh,
Is Joe Mixon good? Or
he's solid.
is he good because his production proves that he's not? But is it the lack of offensive line help?
Well,
And is this the year to know if he's
they
good?
drafted a bunch of offensive line help.
Yeah,
Or they drafted and signed.
They drafted and signed.
Yeah.
They got
They got like
Cordy Glenn and Billy Price.
right, and that's gonna go a long ways. I mean, Joe Mixon's. I think he's a talented running back, and when he passes the eye test, he looks like a good running back. He looks built for the role. What do you think?
I don't think so, man. I'm really down on him. I think fantasy production wise, yeah, but I don't think actual production. I don't think he's gonna do good. I don't think he's built. See, I don't think he's built for the NFL.
Right. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
Well, let's switch gears then. Let's go down to the AFC South, where the Jaguars have been in purgatory forever, but, after last season, they might be the real deal.
Hey, now you got some people out there, and I don't want to kind of get to this topic too soon, but if I may, you got a lot of people out there saying they're going to face some competition this year. They're saying, it was an easy division last year with two of the quarterbacks
I think it was
injured.
Yeah.
But is their defense not legit?
I think their defense is too legit to quit.
Right. That's why I've got them number one. this
Jalen
year.
Ramsey's my favorite NFL player, man. I think he's the best corner in the game.
Hey, he's calling out them quarterbacks. He better be good.
Yeah, I mean, you got to back up what you say, man.
Right. It's
The thing with Jacksonville that makes them so good is that not only do they have Jalen Ramsey, but they also have A.J. Bouye on the other side.
Mm-hmm. It's solid.
I would hate to, and they could rush the passer.
Mm-hmm.
Ngakwe.
Mm-hmm. And they have Miles Jack too, right?
Yeah, Miles Jack at middle linebacker and Telvin Smith on the outside.
Yeah, it's a good team. But like I said, there's two other teams that are coming back with healthy quarterbacks. You've got Andrew Luck coming back after 12 years.
It seems like 12 years at least.
It seems like forever since his rookie season, wasn't it, with Chuck Pagano going to the playoffs? Was that his rookie season?
I don't think he's missed. If he's played a whole season, I don't think he's missed the playoffs. That's how good Andrew Luck is.
Hey, and we'll see if he plays this whole season. Maybe that holds true. Now, there's the other guy. The one who was an MVP candidate last year.
While only playing 6.5 games.
Right. You've got
Deshaun Watson. Yup. Deshaun Watson.
What's this guy going to do coming back?
Well, the thing is if Deshaun Watson played all 16 games like he played those 6.5, he would have hands down won the MVP. Let's just say Deshaun Watson played like that his entire career. He would go down as the best quarterback of all time. So I think the question is not will he regress, but how much.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell me about his injury. What inform everybody what happened and how do you think that's going to affect him from coming back?
My problem with Deshaun Watson is that he tore his ACL, and the problem with Deshaun Watson tearing his ACL compared to like if a quarterback like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers did, Deshaun Watson thrives on his legs. Mm-hmm. And even in that offense, he has to use his legs. The Texans have no offensive line. Mm-hmm. They traded their best offensive lineman to Seattle. Mm-hmm. So they have no offensive line. He has very minimal offensive help. Yeah. They can't run the ball. Their defense is aging.
So he's literally just that Swiss Army knife that if he's healthy and if he's 100%,
run him into the ground. He's your cog in the machine.
In this division alone, the AFC South, could there be 2 wild card teams coming out of it?
I believe so. I think there will be 3 playoff teams in this division.
It was really hard. It was really hard for me to sort out 1, 2, and 3. I think it sounds weird, but Jacksonville is the safe pick. Even though you've got a much harder division this year, they're the safe pick just because not a lot of things have changed. Yeah, they lost, 2 receivers? But were they really that productive passing the ball anyways?
Well, they added Dante Moncrief from the Colts, so they picked somebody off Andrew Luck's, and they added Andrew Norwell, just solidifying the trenches.
So maybe different targets for Blake Bortles.
They also got DJ Chark, that LSU guy we were talking about, that speed demon.
Yeah, I really like DJ Chark. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how he plays in the NFL, though. It's like you said, he's a speed demon.
Can't really run routes.
Yeah,
that's he's got one job: run as fast as you can in a straight line.
Blake Bortles throw that ball deep.
Except for Blake Bortles can't throw the ball at all.
That's sad. Little known fact: he actually has no arms.
Yeah, little known fact: no arms.
So it could be a 3-man.
We are forgetting a quarterback in this division who really has played his entire career, and.
Tell me about him.
Frankly, I think he's all right. The Eagles almost gave up everything for him a couple years back with Chip Kelly. We move on to the Tennessee Titans. Yeah.
Hey, what do we got?
Well, with the Tennessee Titans, they got a new head coach. He's a defensive-minded coach.
Okay.
So they got a new offensive coordinator.
Okay, that's a lot of pieces coming in.
Yeah, they got a couple pieces coming in. They just signed that Deion Lewis guy from, I'm sure we all know him from New England. Yeah, little pass-catching back, but it's because they lost DeMarco. They got to fill that role. DeMarco wasn't a receiving back, but he could catch some screen passes and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. But Derrick Henry, their starter, can't. He can't catch the ball. So
no, you literally brick hands.
But they also added Malcolm Butler. I think the Titans are a slept-on team. Even for us, I think we slept on them more. Now that I'm looking at who they added, honestly, they added Beanie Logan too. We loved Beanie Logan.
But is it a division where they can even? Are they going to hold a positive record?
Yeah, the problem is even if they hold a positive record, they still might not make the playoffs. That's the thing. Like, I think this division's going to cannibalize itself.
So, are you okay? So they're gonna kind of wreck each other.
Well, the thing is I think 2 through 4 are all just as good as each other.
Okay.
But 1 is like New England, like they're going, so it doesn't matter.
Jacksonville, I think Jacksonville will be in the playoffs next year. Whether they're wild card or they won the division, I believe they'll win the division. But is this a tougher division than the NFC East? We're talking about it, and we usually just write the NFC East off as hardest division. Are we talking?
Well, let's break it down.
South?
Are the Eagles better than the Jaguars? What do you think?
Super Bowl champions. I'm not going to say it out loud, but probably.
I feel you. Are the Giants better than the Colts?
Giants and Colts.
I'm taking the Giants over the Colts. I wouldn't take their quarterback, but the roster for the Giants is better than the Colts.
Wide receiver running back combo is.
Don't forget about the defense.
It's a nice combo. But you've got Colts have Andrew Luck, who may be. I mean, I believe he's the best pocket passer, and coming up in the league.
Yeah, like who's under 30.
Yeah. So things.
Okay, but
when you have that quarterback, it's crazy.
How about them Cowboys though against Houston?
Against Houston, best team in Texas belongs in Dallas.
Yeah, and I personally,
they've got a better roster, and it's obvious. But Deshaun Watson, he's unmatched in talent at the quarterback.
Would you take
position.
Deshaun Watson over Dak Prescott?
Not with injuries. No, I think Dak Prescott's more reliable. I mean, he's a safer take. When you've got a team built around the running game, the handoff game, I'd take Dak Prescott as the leader. Not the guy who's gonna pull that handoff and run when you've got arguably the best running back in the league.
You do, but don't you think that could only help Deshaun Watson?
I think Dak's a more poised player. And
I think Dak is a safe guy. I think Dak plays kind of like the same guy who's in his division, Alex Smith.
Yeah, he could go. I mean, he could go down as like an Alex Smith, but maybe with a couple Super Bowl rings.
I mean, he plays in the division with the Eagles, so maybe not yet. But hopefully Carson Wentz for you doesn't come back full strength. But we'll move on from that. But I think the NFC East is still tougher. But
yeah,
if we want to talk about the toughest division, I think it's definitely got to be the next one we're going to talk about, the AFC West.
Okay, tell me about it, please.
Really, anybody 1 through 3 could be one. That's the thing. Anybody 1 through 3 for me could win the division. It was the toughest one for me to decide, except for the easiest one to decide who wasn't going to win it.
Gotcha, and that's the Raiders.
The Raiders,
right?
So, I don't know what the hell John Gruden's doing down there, but hey, if you want to pay him $100 million to ruin your team, as long as it's not mine, I don't care.
Right. I mean, the Eagles already did that with Chip Kelly, but
how many Super Bowls?
1. So going to the other 3 teams, how do they shake out for you?
Well, I got the Chargers at number 1. What do you got?
I've currently got Kansas City.
Kansas City. We'll dwell into Kansas City. Let's stay on the Chargers for a minute, and you tell me what you think about the Chargers, and then I'll tell you why I'm so high on them.
I mean, there's a solid team. I mean, I think they're gonna have one of the better running games in the league. Melvin Gordon It's gonna be a tough team to face. Solid defense. Joey Bosa from the Ohio State University. I like them well. They're very well rounded. Very easily could make the playoffs, but Kansas City's just such a more offensive, all-in-one weapon.
Can I say this though? Until Khalil Mack went to the Bears, I had the Chargers defense leading the league in sacks. Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa coming on the side, man.
Yep.
That's hard to block. I don't care how bad their secondary is, but the thing is I think the Chargers, beside the Jaguars, have the best secondary in the league. You got Casey Hayward, Trevor Williams, Desmond King.
Now, okay, I hear you on that. I still I still think Kansas City's offense, is just wicked crazy.
It is. It's good.
Now, what about the Broncos? You said they're in the conversation for maybe.
They're in the conversation because it's hard to doubt out that Broncos defense. I don't want to like them. I don't, because they're aging and I can see they have flaws. But when you can add Bradley Chubb right beside Von Miller, we're kind of talking the whole Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram thing.
Yeah, it could very well pan out for them. But what do they have going on offense?
Well, they got Case Keenum, and I mean, they got somebody who can throw the ball. Last time they had someone who could throw the ball, a.k.a. Peyton Manning, they won a Super Bowl. I'm not saying Case Keenum's Peyton Manning. He's not Peyton Manning. He's not. But
what about running game? What are we talking? How productive?
Royce Freeman from Oregon, I think he might be one of the steals of the draft. He looks good.
Okay.
He's fast, and he's big. So he's what they need. I think the receivers are all right. We obviously love Emmanuel Sanders. Also, remember a Steeler. They keep getting these. From? Yeah, a Steeler and Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah.
So
big target.
And they added Cortland Sutton. So let's not forget about that.
Yeah, that's a working formula.
And somebody who wasn't really talked about that I think should be talked about more, Deshaun Hamilton from Penn State.
Tell me about him. I don't know him.
He's just a receiver from Penn State. He's a little overlooked, but he's got the measurables to be a good NFL player. Kind of like Michael Thomas. Didn't do too hot in college, but as soon as he got in the NFL, put some weight on him. They showed him how to run some routes.
Hey,
we're talking top 10.
Guy who works hard.
Yeah, we're from The Ohio State University.
Okay.
We're talking, top 10 receiver. I don't think Deshaun Hamilton will be a top 10 receiver, but I think he's not talked about enough.
Gotcha. So
and they also got your boy Josie Jewell on the other side of the ball at linebacker.
Hey, that's one of my sleepers. When I was going through all the defensive players, he was the one that stuck out to me that was NFL ready. That what round did he go? What round did he end up sneaking off to?
I think he was like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
He fell really low.
Yeah,
he ran a bad 40 time. That's why.
I honestly, I see him as one of those guys you can throw in the mix. Maybe he's not your starter, but he fills in, and he's definitely gonna. He seems like he's got the knack for it. He always knows how to get to the ball. One player I want to talk about, actually on the Broncos again, Cortland Sutton. Now, I was looking at him, and it's like.
Des Bryant with off the field issues.
Yeah, and he just runs down the field, right? It seems like he doesn't really run routes. He just goes, he either does a hitch or does a streak or a fade.
I feel like they can teach him that, though.
That's what I'm getting at here. Now, he's behind Demaryius Thomas, another big receiver.
Yeah, Demaryius Thomas like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, could he just turn into Demaryius Thomas maybe with a little bit more athletic
I bet you
ability?
That's their hope. I bet you that's their hope.
I mean, you got to wonder. I don't know the exact statistics, how many years are left on Demaryius Thomas' contract, but I bet you that's in their mind.
Yeah, they're not wanting to pay because they're going to have to end up paying all these defensive players to keep them. They're already losing some.
Yep.
They're already losing some.
I agree with you. I've got them in third place right now.
Well, let's move on to the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, we kind of skipped over them, but they got a lot to talk about.
For me. They're my number one.
They are your number one?
They're my number one. I've got Chargers number 2. Now, like you said, though, the top 3 can really get thrown around a lot. It depends on things kind of go down. Well, why are they your number 2? Tell me that.
They're my number 2 because I don't trust their defense, man. I don't. I think they're off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be hard to lose games when I literally think your offense can score 40 points a game. It's going to be hard to lose games.
That's what I'm kind of hinging off
but
of.
If you can't stop someone from scoring 41, you're going to lose every time.
That's a good point. But
I love the addition of Sammy Watkins, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. They got Kendall Fuller in that trade with Alex Smith. I'm kind of warming up to him, man. You ain't even got to talk me into it.
Right.
Pat Mahomes with Tyreek Hill sounds real good.
I heard some things. It was like beginning of training camp. Pat Mahomes looks bad, and now like through preseason and whatnot, people are talking up Pat Mahomes.
He can throw a football over 70 miles an hour. A football.
Hey, back in my heyday, before I got this bum knee.
Okay, Uncle Rico.
All right. Well, Any more to talk about with the AFC West?
Yeah, we still got the Raiders. I know they're forgettable because of what they're doing out there, but
it's
anything you like about this football team, like Derek Carr or something? Is there something going for these guys?
I feel like Derek Carr's potential's slowly going out the window.
Are they rebuilding for Derek Carr, or what do you think? Like, do they just decide they're not competing anymore and they just kind of?
Well, the one thing I'll give you is John Gruden. He talks like he's up to something, but the moves that I've seen him make, it's not very. I'm not all on board with it. One thing I am a fan of. I'm personally upset about it, but I think he took the Cowboys special teams coach, and if you pay attention to the Cowboys, they've had one of the better special team records in few past years, and that makes a difference because Chris Jones, I believe, had the most, and that's Cowboys punter, had the most punts within the 20 yards. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does when you're pinning them back there.
And then they're also really good at getting at the kick returner, stuff like that. They actually traded for a few of the guys on Cowboys special team. If I could come up with his name, I'd let you know. But I think, yeah.
I like who they drafted, though. I think their draft was actually good, though. For all the things that they're doing that are out of their draft, I think they got players appropriately where they should. Let's just go through their rookies right now. They got Colton Miller,
who was, in my opinion, was they reached for him.
You think they reach?
I do believe that.
It was a weak tackle draft, though, and they needed a tackle.
But he looked more like a guard.
He's raw, but he's big. That's why he's a tackle. That's why he's a tackle. He does. He plays like a guard.
Little technique.
They got P.J. Hall, that D tackle from Houston, played alongside Ed Oliver. Mm-hmm. They got that other tackle, Brandon Parker, from I think it was Carolina A&M or A&T. He was the fastest offensive lineman in the draft. He ran like a 4.6 or 4.7. Wow. So, I mean, all I'm saying is Lane Johnson was the fastest, and Lane Johnson's the best right tackle in the NFL.
Right tackle, okay.
Arden Key.
I like that.
Yeah, I like Arden Key.
That's a good pick. That's a good, later pick.
To me, Arden Key is just as good as Harold Landry, and you had to take Harold Landry like 3 rounds before Arden Key.
Yeah.
And Maurice Hurst, I think, also another steal.
Well, did he ever get healthy?
He's been playing.
He's been playing. I remember it was like shortly after the draft, everybody's like, wow, he took him, that late in the draft, and then things came out about his health issues and how he might not even get to play.
Yeah, with that heart thing. Yeah. I think it was a little overblown. I mean, this is the NFL. We got good doctors,
Yeah, we'll have to see how he shakes out because he was a high talent. I wasn't very high on him, but I was also comparing him to first-round talent, second-round talents, and he stood some kind of comparison.
I'm not real big on Michigan defensive players. I mean, Jabril Peppers, to me, bust. Taco Charlton, he's doing good for you guys, but I thought he was a bust.
He's they're...
Chris Wormley, bust.
They do take a little bit more refining than some of your other Big Ten, players on.
Yeah,
defense.
Michigan recruits a different type of player, so
it's more body. Like you look at like Taco Charlton, 6'6".
They got the things that you
frame.
can't teach.
Yeah,
and then they got. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
They throw a lot of qualified bodies together and play some defense.
Well, since we wrapped up all the divisions in the NFL, I gotta ask you a couple questions. I mean, who do you think the sleeper team of the year is?
Sleeper team of the year. That's got to be a team that goes deep in the playoffs. I mean, that's in my opinion. Because if I was to say most improved, I'm looking at the Giants and I'm looking at the Browns. But sleeper team, and I'm
people aren't talking about winning the Super Bowl that definitely could. Right.
And I'm gonna kind of side with what you said earlier. I'm gonna mention the Giants. As I got them third in my division, but I can very well see them coming in second behind the Cowboys. No, but I think it's up for grabs if things go well. Eli Manning's got to play out of his mind.
That offensive line's got to play out of his
right.
mind.
Well, and they added pieces to it. I love Will Hernandez.
I love him, too. I can't believe Cleveland passed on him for, what is that, the Austin Corbett guy?
Yeah.
They just keep doing Cleveland things, man.
Yeah, that was a bad move, I felt like. But I think a running offense can really change things, especially for a quarterback. So, you're looking at maybe one of Eli's better years in the past few. So they're my sleeper team.
They're your sleeper team. I mean, I don't think that's a bad pick, but
I don't think anybody's talking about them going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm higher on the Giants than most, but nobody is talking about them going to the Super Bowl. I mean, my sleeper team is a team. I've heard a couple people say it, but I'm thinking Chargers, man.
Chargers.
I'm super high on the Chargers this year.
Really?
I think Phillip Rivers
here
gets it done.
Okay.
Unless he's playing against Philadelphia, then
he's a solid quarterback, but it's like you ain't seen him, go too deep before or even make it. Has he gotten a playoff win?
He's got a couple playoff wins. He just can't get the deal done. He just can't get it done. It's tough when you play in the AFC. You got to play Big Ben in your prime, in his prime.
Right.
You got to play Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So,
all right. What's your what's a bold prediction? Who's what player in the league is gonna shock the world?
What player is gonna shock the world?
Who's gonna
Shaquem Griffin.
Shaquem Griffin.
I think he's gonna get 8 or 9 sacks this year.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, and I think you've said things about it too. It's hard to believe he went that late, even with the whole one hand type of thing.
If he had 2 hands, he'd be a top 10 pick. I don't know why people.
That's what I see. No, there's a flip side that everybody's thinking, oh, he's only talked about because he has one hand.
Dude can play.
He can play. I've seen him catch interceptions. I mean, it's
when you can run a 4.38 and weigh more than your brother. His brother plays for the Seahawks. He weighs more than his brother, or weighs less than his brother.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, weighs less. He runs a 4.3, and he benched more than his brother.
Yeah.
And he plays linebacker. He can cover just as good. Hand. Yeah, and he benched with one hand.
It's like, gosh. And it was something shocking to see, but I like that. I like that. He very well could become something.
Who's your shock the world player?
And this is if Chicago gets things going. I really like Miller, the wide receiver they drafted.
Anthony Miller? Yeah. Yes. You've been high on him since we saw him, since we were doing our pre-draft rankings.
Yeah. I think he's
from Memphis, yeah.
He's gonna be that guy, I think, in fantasy world where people are signing him on waivers. Because he's gonna probably play second string receiver, but he's the type of guy to get a lot of catches. Coming across the middle, or just he's crafty.
He looked good in
routes.
Preseason. I can't say he didn't. Yeah. He looked real good.
He's real crafty, and he knows how to get open. He knows how to get the ball. He catches the ball. And Mitch Trubisky might be at the point of his career where he's looking for his targets, and it wouldn't be a
trying
bad
to set him up. Yeah,
it wouldn't be a bad connection. I personally, I wanted him on my team, but I think he'll be something to talk about. Also, Michael Gallup for the Cowboys, just because I think that he's going to turn into our number 1 receiver. But there's a lot of people talking about
this isn't a fantasy show, but pick up Michael Gallup for sure.
Yeah. If he's not drafted, you got to get him.
So,
you got to get him.
Well, before we end this, I want one more fun thing, and then we'll end it. If you could take 3 quarterbacks in the NFL.
All right.
You got to trash one.
Okay.
You got to keep one.
Okay.
You got to trade one.
All right. Hit me.
Blake Bortles, Ryan Tannehill, Sam Bradford.
Ooh. These are like some of the ugliest quarterbacks that have started the most games. Repeat that list to me one more time.
Blake Bortles,
Ryan
Ryan
Tannehill,
Sam Bradford.
I'm trashing Sam Bradford.
You're throwing him away?
I'm throwing him away. Unless I can pull a second-round pick for him again, but I don't think that's happening.
First round.
It was a first round. Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Who happened to be the Super Bowl winning defensive end
for
the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's unlikely that's going to happen again. So I'm trashing Sam Bradford, and then I'm trading. Well, I'm gonna keep Blake Bortles. Who's the other guy again?
Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, I haven't seen him doing much in Miami, so I'm definitely trading him because for some reason people still believe he has a future in the NFL, which he may, but that's the risk reward type of thing. I know Bortles can at least get the job done for one playoff win. You know,
yeah,
he's
at
done
least
it.
one. Yeah.
So I'm
That's
gonna
why I'm
trade.
taking Sam Bradford. I'm
You're
keeping
taking
him.
Sam Bradford. You're keeping him.
He's the most accurate quarterback in the NFL.
Okay.
That's statistically factual.
All right. Well, who are you trashing?
Blake Bortles.
Wow, complete flip.
Yeah, I'm taking. I'll
Everything
trade,
different.
Yeah, I'll trade Ryan Tannehill.
All right.
I'm higher on Tannehill than most, like you said. Like there are pockets out there that think Tannehill's got it.
There's people that think that
he's a converted wide receiver from Texas A&M.
Thank you for tuning in to our NFL Supercast. Be sure to check out our next week's episode on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, or Spotify as we take on what's happening in the sports world. This has been your host, Justin Hayes and Skylar Krowetsky.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in.